Welcome to the presentation of the curriculum reviews for secondary English Language Arts and Science at the Quaker Valley School District. I will begin with the presentation of English Language Arts, followed by the presentation for Science. This presentation will summarize the outcomes of Phase 1 of the curriculum review process for secondary English Language Arts, which includes grades 6 through 12. It will also summarize the findings and recommendations of the English Language Arts Curriculum Review Committee. You may recall from previous presentations that Phase 1 of the Curriculum Review involves updating the knowledge of the Curriculum Review Committee as to the most effective curriculum and programming for the content area based on research and analysis. I will now review the activities that were completed during Phase 1 of the Curriculum Review. The English Language Arts Curriculum Review Committee for grades 6 through 12 consists of representatives from each grade level as well as academic specialists, special education teachers, and district administration is listed here. Although this presentation summarizes the process and recommendations of the committee for grades 6 through 12, these activities were not completed in isolation. We presented Phase 1 of the curriculum review process for elementary in the fall of 2022. Much of the research completed during that review was also applicable to secondary instruction. During Phase 1, the Curriculum Review Committee engaged in extensive research as shown here. As a result, the committee developed the capacity and deeper understanding of the latest research in literacy instruction. Ultimately, the committee identified a need to update our curriculum and resources to support the instructional shifts that were recommended. When exploring the most relevant research related to literacy instruction, the committee focused on the science of reading. This research investigates how children learn to read and what instructional approaches are most effective. Structured literacy is a component in the research explored in the science of reading. It's an evidence-based approach to reading instruction where teachers carefully structure important literacy skills to facilitate children's literacy learning and progress. It's characterized by systematic, explicit instruction. Although most of structured literacy is applicable to elementary literacy when children are first learning to read and write, it is important for secondary teachers to understand how reading and writing instruction has shifted based on the research and what effects this might have on secondary instruction. Beginning in the 2023-24 school year, the Pennsylvania Department of Education requires districts to provide training in structured literacy to any teachers who hold certificates in the areas listed. You may notice that this includes teachers in all elementary and middle school certifications, not just those who teach English Language Arts. The committee considered this new requirement when making their recommendations. A resource that informed our review is the Pennsylvania State Literacy Plan. This plan, developed by the Pennsylvania Department of Education, provides guidance for developing a strong evidence-based literacy curriculum. When the Pennsylvania core standards were adopted in 2010, it represented a shift in expectations across multiple areas of students' educational experience. The shifts reflected a focus on college and career-ready skills. Although the English Language Arts curriculum has reflected these shifts since the Pennsylvania core standards were adopted, it was important to continue to revisit them as we conducted our review. As part of the research and review phase, the committee adopted transfer goals. The transfer goals are what we want students to be able to do independently when they confront new challenges both in and outside of school, beyond the current lesson and unit. I will now review the findings of the committee as well as their recommendations. The needs assessment resulted in 6 recommendations. I will explore recommendations 1 through 4. Recommendations 5 through 6 will be addressed during the presentation of the changes to the high school program of studies that will follow this presentation. The first recommendation is to align curriculum instruction with evidence-based practices. These practices will influence the components and organization of the curriculum. We will shift to organize our units by knowledge-building topics when possible and create a vertical articulation of expectations that becomes more sophisticated as students progress through grade levels. These units will be shorter in duration and allow for more accurate assessments of student progress. We will also explicitly identify and create the primary assessments for application of reading and writing, as well as the specific performance tasks that will be used in each unit to ensure consistency. The second recommendation is to provide more consistent intervention using evidence-based resources. Research on intervention indicates that most students, including those performing below grade level, can successfully achieve grade level expectations with regular targeted instruction, such as reteaching or pre-teaching new material and revisiting previously learned material. This can be done in the classroom in small group settings before or after the whole group activities. A small number of students may also need supplemental instruction, which is additional instruction that attempts to fill skill gaps using evidence-based intervention programs. The English Language Arts Department has been piloting a few of these programs this year and will be developing some additional recommendations for adopting resources for intervention. The third recommendation is to infuse literacy skills across the curriculum so that students are using both reading and writing to learn new content and communicate their learning of this content. This will involve providing professional development for teachers in this area. The fourth recommendation is to adopt updated resources. In the spring, the committee will be recommending the adoption of an updated primary resource that will support teachers in implementing evidence-based strategies and will provide a framework for curricular units based on the science of reading and its findings. The committee will also be recommending the adoption of resources to support intervention at that time. Recommendations 5 and 6 will be explored in detail during the high school program of studies presentation, and these recommendations involve changes to the program of studies at the high school. This includes the proposal of 4 new courses, including 3 college and high school courses indicated as CHS. It also includes changes to the options for grade 12 English Language Arts. The timeline for completion of the resource review, as well as the completion of Phase 2 in blue, curriculum writing, and Phase 3 in yellow, implementation, is listed here. We will be making a recommendation to the board for a new primary resource and intervention resources in April of this year, followed by the purchase of the teacher materials in July. We will then conduct professional development in the fall of 2023. During the fall and winter of 2023, we will develop the grade level curriculum and pacing guides. We will review these pacing guides and curriculum with the teachers in the spring in preparation for full implementation in the fall of 2024. During the 2024-25 school year, we will continue to develop and revise the curriculum as needed. At the end of the year, we will evaluate the implementation and identify additional needs. The estimated costs and projected budget for this purchase includes an estimate of the cost for print and digital resources for students and teachers, professional development for literacy both in the English Language Arts Department and across other content areas, as well as the curriculum writing. The estimated costs for years 1 and 2 are shown above. The only ongoing cost after year 2 is for the purchase of IXL. We have been piloting both IXL for English Language Arts and for math in grades 6 through 12. The cost listed here represents the yearly cost for both subjects. We will be proposing the adoption of this resource in the spring for both of these subject areas. Thank you for viewing the presentation of the Secondary English Language Arts Curriculum Review. Questions about the information included in this presentation can be directed to Dr. Susan Gentile, Director of Instruction and Learning at the Quaker Valley School District. At this time, I will now transition to the presentation of the High School Science Curriculum Review. Welcome to the presentation of the Quaker Valley School District High School Science Department Curriculum Review. The Curriculum Review Committee consists of representatives from each grade level and content area, as well as the academic specialist, special education teachers, and building and district administration is listed here. We will begin by providing a summary of the activities completed in Phase 1 of the curriculum review process. The curriculum review for science occurred in 3 phases as shown here. The completion of the high school curriculum review represents the completion of the K-12 science review for the entire program, which focuses on a vertical articulation of skills and expectations for science as students progress. You may recall in the middle school science presentation, the committee discussed the importance of the next generation science standards. These standards were developed to focus on a deeper understanding and application of content, as well as the integration of science and engineering practices into the science classroom. At that time, Pennsylvania was working to create state standards that aligned with the NGSS, but they had not yet been released. In preparation for the release of the new Pennsylvania standards, our teachers began aligning the science curriculum to the NGSS in 2019. In September of 2019, the Pennsylvania Department of Education also began to update the Pennsylvania science standards to align with the current research and best practices, including a review of the next generation science standards. Then in July of 2022, PDE adopted the Pennsylvania Integrated Standards for Science, Technology, and Engineering, Environmental Literacy, and Sustainability, also known as STEELS. Anytime new standards are approved by PDE, this will require that districts align current curriculum and instructional practice with what is outlined in the standards. PDE provides time for districts to complete this work and has provided the deadline of the 25-26 school year for full implementation. During Phase 1, the Curriculum Review Committee engaged in extensive research activities listed here. As a result, the committee developed a capacity and deeper understanding of the latest research in science instruction, formed a regional network of school districts to share ideas, and implemented preliminary instructional and curricular shifts. Ultimately, the committee identified recommendations for curriculum development, course offerings, and instructional shifts. I will now present the findings and recommendations of the Curriculum Review Committee. The needs assessment conducted by the Curriculum Review Committee indicated the needs to update resources, align curriculum, provide professional development, and investigate options for courses and course pathways that would provide more opportunities for our students. Based on these needs identified, the committee has developed these recommendations. First, to align curriculum with the new PA standards. Much of this work has already been completed with our alignment to the NGSS. We will continue to conduct curriculum revision sessions with representatives of each course to complete the alignment to the STEELS standards. Second, we will evaluate the curriculum of specific Parkway programs to determine alignment to the new Pennsylvania standards for possible science credit during the junior or senior year. Third, we will provide ongoing professional development to address the shifts outlined in the NGS and the new Pennsylvania standards. The Allegheny Intermediate Unit has been providing professional development this year related to the new standards in science, and our department members have attended. Representatives from the department have attended. We will continue to access these workshops as they are developed in the upcoming years. We will also investigate additional options for professional development as they become available. Fourth, we will adopt resources to support these instructional content and assessment shifts. Several of the primary textbooks have been updated in the past few years. Therefore, updated textbooks are not required for biology or physics courses at this time. The current textbook for chemistry, however, is outdated and does not adequately support the necessary shifts. The department is currently investigating a few options for chemistry textbooks that would be aligned with these new standards. They will be making a recommendation for adoption of one of these resources this spring. The fifth recommendation, as listed here, is related to changes to the high school program of studies. The details of these changes will be explained in the presentation of the changes to the high school program of studies that will follow this presentation. This timeline shows the activities for Phase 1 that have been completed in green and the activities for Phases 2 and 3 in blue and yellow that will be completed in the upcoming years. After the proposal for the new course that we are presenting today, we will then move on into Phase 2 of the curriculum review process, which is curriculum writing. We will create the curriculum for the new course and align our current curriculum and all of our courses to the new standards. In July, we will purchase new resources for the chemistry course, and then in August of next school year, we will begin to implement the new course and the resources. In August through June, we will continue to participate in ongoing professional development and further align our curriculum to the standards. By the 2025-2026 school year, we will have full implementation of the new standards, and the state will be adopting a new biology keystone exam at that time. An estimated budget for costs related to the recommendations is listed here. When a primary resource has been identified for chemistry, the department will present the exact costs and details on the resource for board approval in April. Thank you for viewing the presentation of the High School Science Department Curriculum Review. Questions about the information included in this presentation can be directed to Susan Gentile, Director of Instruction and Learning at the Quaker Valley School District.